Today on the Crit House, we discussed photography of Sebastiano Solado, Sam Abel, Harushi Sugamoto, Eugene Smith, and the legendary Albert Watson. Hey everybody, welcome to the Crit House. My name is Jeff Larson, and today we are taking a look at the work of Christopher Michael, who is a photographer and artist. He has had a number of different careers. His work has taken him to the far reaches of the earth, to the North and South Poles, Mount Everest, to the Congo. He has photographed global leaders, scientists, including the 14th Dalai Lama, and Christopher's images have appeared in publications worldwide. Christopher, it's a pleasure to have you on the Crit House, and I know that introduction does not cover the vast scope of the work that you have done. Not
Are you
only
trying to say I'm old?
Yeah, I was.
Okay,
But so
thanks.
you've had a number of different careers before you became a photographer. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you talk about yourself as well, I guess a photographer and a person, however you talk about yourself.
Well, you're right to say this is my third career, and I'm hoping this one works. I've done a lot of different things, and I didn't plan the life that I'm living. I just happened to be living it. So I graduated from college. Top Gun had just come out, so I thought flying for the Navy would be fun, and I had a chance to do that. And I flew P-3s and hunted Russian submarines as a mission commander, and loved that. And worked in the Pentagon, and on a lark, I went to business school. And I was always kind of a nerd, and I started a couple tech companies. And when I left that job, I thought, what is it that I really love most of all in the world? And it's making photographs. So I started my third and most difficult career. Mostly, though, I guess I would define myself as kind of a portrait photographer, kind of environmental portraits. So my appointment at the National Academy of Sciences is to help elevate science and scientists in society, to humanize science, which is really important now. So it's scientists, it's engineers, it's doctors. I photographed Gene Kranz, from the Apollo 11 Mission Control Center.
Wow.
Victor Glover, an astronaut. So I get to Anthony Fauci, Francis Arnold, who won the Nobel Prize for directed evolution. Every week I get to photograph a hero of mine. And there are so many of these remarkable humans. And in fact, in most of them, we know nothing about.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of my project with the academies, because I think, Kanye West may be great and very talented in his own way, but maybe it would be more beneficial if we had as our heroes these people that have contributed so much to society.
So you were given this assignment of choosing 5 photographs to try to represent how you have been influenced in your growth as a photographer, or to choose 5 images for any reason you want to. What did you go through in your process of deciding what the 5 images would be?
Oh boy. That's a tough ask. Are these my top 5 favorite images? No, but I thought these 5 images represented an idea that was important to me, that I thought might be worthy to discuss, because perhaps other people can find what I found in these photographs useful to them in their photographic careers.
Perfect. Well, let's take a look at your 5 images. So you are starting with a man that I have so much respect for, Sam Abel, in this amazing image. Tell us about why this is here.
Well, let me just back up, and I'm sure I'm not the first person that's been on the show that has this feeling, but I met Sam Abel at a Santa Fe Photographic Workshops class. I took his class many years ago, and it was a watershed event in my life about how to bring poetry and fine composition and thoughtful composition to photography, but also the photographic life, about what it means to commit to this kind of life. And Sam has become a dear friend, and I've taken many classes with him and interfaced with him many times. And I would say no photographer has had more influence on my life than Sam. Well, it turns out, I helped Sam set up his Instagram account, and we were setting it up. And I said, Sam, okay, we're going to get your name, Sam Abel. He said, I don't want it to be Sam Abel. I want it to be Sam Abel Teacher. And I thought, well, that's really weird, and I know many photographers, and none of them, at least that I know of, want to put teacher on their Instagram name, because I think, I don't want to speak for Sam, but my interpretation is this is how he wants his next stage of his life to be, is as a teacher. And over many, many years of interfacing with many photographers, so many photographers look at Sam as a mentor. And I realized that Sam's greatest influence probably has not been his body of work, although that's a profound,
It is amazing
remarkable body of work.
Yeah.
It's really his efforts to teach and inspire people. So Sam is here because Sam, as I said, no photographers had more influence in my photography style than Sam. In fact, I have one photographer's work in my home, and it's a large print. I think it's 1 of 8 of this picture.
Really?
And it's the castration. Yeah. And Sam sent it to me, and I'm really grateful to have this. This photo is also important to me because I use this photograph, and I teach at the Santa Fe workshops, and I lead trips all over the world in photography. And in all of my classes and trips, I use this photograph to teach composition. And because in this photograph are many, many elements, the Sam Abel method of great photography, like start with great backgrounds and think about layers and think about deconflicting elements in a scene. And these are Gestalt theories that make images more compelling for the mind, right? See how every thing in this picture has its own place. You can see everything, right? Yep. In between the two cowboys pulling a calf, you see the cowboy. You see the use of the horizon line, right? Many things above the horizon line. You see the light direction, you see the red bucket, you see the spacing around the red bucket, right? You see the frame management in this photograph on the bottom, on the left, right? This is a incredibly designed photograph. And in here are 25 lessons for photographers in just, great photo. One of the questions I always get is, should the red bucket be in or not? That's that's one of the fun questions. Sam even talks about that. I think in. There's always a question about, are any of these things amputations? No, they're not. Although you can see just a little bit of his foot, that works as a beautiful frame in the image. So that's, those are the kind of teaching moments of this sort of decisive moment photograph. But the other element of this photograph, as at least some people know, I think, is if you hear Sam talk about it, Sam goes out here to shoot this scene and he's failing and leaves and goes to a coffee shop and basically ruminates about how he failed in this shoot. And at some point, gets the courage to go back out there and do his job as a photographer, which is to make this photograph. And that's what he does. And, he has in some of his, I think even on his website, he shows you sequences of the images, all shot, I guess, on Kodachrome. It delivered. So this is a photograph not only that brings Sam Abel's skill, it also is a world that met him halfway, and it gets to his tenacity to make the image, because we all fail in photography all the time.
Your second image for discussion is Harushi Sugamoto. Now, I have to say, for people watching this on YouTube, this is not going to represent well on YouTube. And so I would encourage you to go and to try to look at this image so that you can see it in better detail, because it's so nuanced and subtle. But Christopher, talk about this image and Harushi Sugamoto.
Well, Harushi Sugamoto is known for a few things, including sculpture. He just put a beautiful sculpture in San Francisco, which is incredible. And but I think he's best known for his kind of water series. And it's certainly the most compelling to me. I believe this was taken in 1989. Maybe it's the Cliffs of Moher. And, he uses a large format camera, and these are generally long exposures with the horizon line in the center. And he's done hundreds, thousands of these. I don't know, many, many. And he would go to these places for a week or 3 weeks and just sit there and make these kinds of images. I first kind of, maybe, I don't know if I discovered him, but I took a photo like this many, many years ago, and I posted it, and people really loved it. And they said, oh, that's a Sugamoto photo.
Right.
Because if you take a photo of the water with a kind of cloudy sky a little bit, and there's nothing else, people will say that because he
owns it.
very associated with this kind of
Yeah.
photograph. Yeah. And, it's always interesting, I kind of, it's, maybe it's not jealousy, but if you were there early and created it, like Ruben Wu using a drone with lighting, he owns that kind of photography. I mean, people will always associate it with him. Doesn't mean people can't do this photo. But I guess what I would say about this photo that's meaningful to me, one, it's personally meaningful in the sense that I am drawn to images like this, these images of mystery and repetition, of gradation. And I love these images that ask questions, right? And what's beautiful about photos like this and this category of photograph is that I think it invites the viewer to contribute a lot to the image.
So you mentioned Sebastiano Solado.
Okay, Solado is, as I was saying, one of those photographers whose work is so profoundly good and so compelling and so high impactful, and beyond my ability to even understand how he makes the images. So, I didn't even know where to start. This is one of his most famous series. It's the Serra Pelada series from 1986 in the gold mines in Brazil. And there's, I think, about 28 images. This one, and these are obviously workers that are working in this horrific gold mine. And some of them are almost I guess they're almost like landscape photos with people in them. In the distance, they're almost like ants working in the fields or in the mine. Yeah. But here we have a beautiful, beautiful environmental portrait. So we now have a person standing here in a very, incredibly well placed. And now we can extrapolate the feelings we feel for this person and the difficulty and but also the strength and the perseverance into all the other people we see in the scene here. So I put this in kind of, just extremely fine environmental portraiture. Everything about the placement of this photo just works super well. And it's awe-inspiring.
Albert Watson.
Okay, this photo looks a little different than the previous version.
Yes, you've got a different way.
So I know Albert, and I've had the opportunity to photograph him. I think if you look at his Wikipedia picture, I think it's one of them at least is my photo of him. Very nice. And he's a remarkable, Scottish character and one of the most successful photographers of all time. And what I remember him telling me about this photograph, so I'd seen this photograph, but he told me something about it. This is a Harper's Bazaar Christmas shoot, the Christmas duck.
Christmas duck.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice the bow.
And
okay.
And as I understand it, now this could be apocryphal and I could be misleading it, but he was shooting this like a regular photographer might shoot something, maybe with a little bit of humor, but he was shooting for Harper's Bazaar, and it was Hitchcock that pushed him to kind of make this photo, like grabbing the duck, and that, I don't want to say it made Albert's career, but it kind of did. Yeah. Right. This was the photo that shot him into the next level of photography. And obviously it's an incredible photo. I mean, the expression's amazing. It's just the juxtaposition of these two things are crazy, although it's kind of, there's kind of it's like gruesome humor, which is a little bit of Hitchcock himself, The expression is amazing. The hand position is amazing. The background's great. It's just one hell of a photograph. But what I think about when I see this photo, and the reason I chose this photo, is Hitchcock played an incredible role in making this photo. So if Hitchcock had not pushed a little bit, at least as I understand the story, this photo would not exist. So this is a reminder to me that, and I think of this photo every time I shoot one of these scientists, and I even mentioned it to Fauci when I was photographing him, that we need to, we all want, Hitchcock probably loved this photograph. So I always say to everyone, it's not just up to me. Let's together build a photograph that's really memorable and unusual. So like Frances Arnold, I mentioned her, she's on the board of Google and is at Caltech and is a Biden science advisor. And the photo that she loved most of all is her on a motorcycle, because she rode her motorcycle through Thailand. So I'm trying to get people to do things a little bit different than just a straight portrait. And that requires this collaboration. It requires a kind of mood and trust and engagement with people. I photographed Carol Greider, who won the Nobel Prize for telomeres, surfing, pretty different, right? And my objective is to push a little harder. I would say I'm not successful at this most of the time, but I try every time.
Your final image from W. Eugene Smith, the country doctor.
Country doctor. Yeah, this is a very, very famous 1948 Life article and photo essay. And I think it's the best sort of environmental portraiture I've ever seen. And this is only one of a million.
There are many.
Not a million. There's like 20 images. Yeah. All of them are off the charts. The best one, and probably the most famous one, is with him walking, I think, through the gate up to the house. He's above the horizon line, and it's just, I mean, it looks like something out of the Wizard of Oz. You know, the background's amazing.
It's astonishing. Yeah,
it's an astonishing photograph. I included this one because this has like this picture tells you a lot of things. This is a doctor that's tired. It's, you know, you imagine here it's the middle of the night, and he's finished something that was very, very difficult, right? And he's having his coffee. And what's amazing about this photograph is the authenticity of the image. So, you know, what's really going on here is here's this doctor that's doing this work, and this photographer, probably with not small equipment, is making these pictures. And you can't tell when you look at the pictures. Right. It looks like just a real moment in this doctor's life. It's also a slice of time in our history about, you know, doctor visits at home, and just a kind of photograph that I aspire to make. And again, I would say, to be self-critical, I often influence my scenes in ways that you often can tell people that people know that they're being photographed.
Well, there's a difference between your hour and a half with an individual versus the weeks that W. Eugene Smith, I think, spent on this, and the years in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, there is that time.
Yeah, you're totally right. You know, but you know, I have to judge my work against the best work out there. That's the one thing about photography that's amazing, is that it's accessible to all of us. This is the reason I love teaching photography. It's not like teaching piano or painting or, you know, gymnastics. Everyone can be a good photographer. Everyone.
Everybody's walking around with a camera in their pockets.
I can't make good photos. I'm like, I do not believe you. You have told yourself a story that you're buying into that is not true. And the other thing, honestly, Jeff, is today you could walk outside and make the world's greatest photograph. It's available to you. It's available to me. And that's what's so compelling about photography. You know, we don't go into photography for the money. We go into photography because it feels good. It feels great to create, right? To connect, to preserve. You know, memories are the currency of our lives. We have this opportunity to do these things, and we have a tool that makes it so straightforward, and it's really fun. And so every day I wake up energized with my camera to go out and make that photo. I'm going to go run up the hills here in San Francisco today, and every day I run with a tiny little camera because I want to be ready in case something cool is happening. Well,
Chris Michael, what a pleasure to talk to you. Love your enthusiasm. Love what you have taught me for this as well. Thank you for joining us.
This has been great. Well, I'm looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you all for watching The Crit House.